Caution, the Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience. And, besides that, he's really weird. Welcome to the Mark Gungor Show with international marriage speaker and author of Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage, Mark Gungor. This is your source for practical, down-to-earth marriage advice without all the over-spiritualization or romantic nonsense. And now the host of the Mark Gungor Show, Mark Gungor.
Crowd goes wild with delirious joy. They've joined the Mark Gungor Show, the show that deals with all things concerning marriage. Indeed, I'm your host, the one, the only Mark Gungor. Joining me, as always, the ever lovely, and don't you look pretty today, Diane Brierly, and the amazing Philip James Gungor.
Hello.
Engineering the show, as always, the very talented but eerily creepy Timothy Robert Ray, pushing buttons, twisting knobs, and trying to stay awake during this incomprehensibly, immeasurably boring show. This is the show that handles your marital challenges, relational conundrums, and dating dilemmas that you can email to us at ask@markgungor.com. What do you got?
Okay, a little article. I guess there was some woman at the University of Washington that did a little new study/survey that she found out newly wedded men expressed surprise that sexual temptations continued to haunt them after they were married. They said they found it satanic and beastly. They reported feelings.
The men said they found it satanic
and beastly.
And these are secular men?
I was University of Washington. It's just sociology grad student that did it. So
isn't that interesting?
It was a very small group. It was only 15 men, but I mean, I think this probably would apply to 15 million men. I mean, I don't think that.
I would not have needed to do a survey on this one.
15 is probably legit. Anyway, they reported feelings like they could not discuss sex with their friends and did not know how to comfortably broach the subject with their wives. The newly wedded men talked about sex as both being sacred and a gift from God, meant for the marriage bed, and beastly must be. Beastly if it occurs outside marriage. They revealed they continue to think of sex in terms of control and how the so-called beastly elements of sex, temptations by pornography, and extramarital affairs do not disappear with the transition to married life. Mm-hmm. One guy said, before you get married, the biggest struggle you have is usually with premarital sex, but once you get married, you cannot be tempted by that anymore, so then you get attacked by completely different things. Essentially, Satan has to find a new angle to attack you on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very accurate, extremely accurate. This is why I've argued for years to young men and women the reason to say no before you get married. Because they say, well, we're having sex, but we're going to get married. But you don't get it. If you don't learn how to say no before you get married, you won't be able to say no after you get married because it doesn't go away. It's always there, sometimes screaming at the top of its lungs. How can it be? I don't know. It's a man thing. It just is. So they say they don't know how to broach the subject with their wives. My advice is do not. Except to say, and I'm going to be speaking on this in our church. Go online, check it out. Talking about sex and marriage. That the only way you can really broach it with your wife is to say, this is why I need to have sex from you, because that's what quiets it. But it never goes away. That's what you do. You're supposed to be sexually active with each other. When you're not sexually active with a man, it puts him in a bad place. The Bible talks about it. It creates temptation. It can be man or woman, either way. And if you're taking care of the problem and silencing it with each other, it calms it down. If you don't, it creates the problem. And they think, well, just because we're married, and I tell you, one of my pet peeves, and I've talked about this many times, is people who are in a marriage where the one spouse, it could be the husband, it could be the wife, either one, who sexually starves out the other one. And then the other one has an affair. Well, everybody points the finger at that other one. You're a filthy, rotten, terrible person. But the reality is that spouse helped create that environment. Now, that's not to say that that he's not guilty or she's not guilty, but they're both guilty. I'm so tired of it. I'll hear, I remember one time I was hearing from a pastor, he has an affair. Well, of course, everybody points at him, and he's this evil, horrible, terrible person. And then to talk to him, find out that his wife gave him sex maybe once a year. Well, what in the hail? Hail. Hail, like it's hailing. Mm-hmm. What in the hail do they think is going to happen? When your version of sex is once a month, maybe if the skies, the moons are aligned, and hurry up, I got to watch TV or something like that. What do you think is going to happen to your spouse? Goodness gracious. So in that respect, you can try and broach your spouse, but they don't get it. It's terrible. If you go, male or female, and say, listen, I am really having sexual temptation from someone else because we're not being sexually active, your spouse is probably going to be devastated. It's a horrible thing. My best advice, talk to other men about it, or women if that's your case, and try and, at some point, you still have to control yourself. Everybody has to control it. We all have reasons why we don't have control, but you need to control yourself. I speak to pastors' groups every once in a while, and I love to say this to the women because the pastors and their wives are all sitting there. What can I do as a godly wife? A godly wife to help my husband in his ministry. My answer is, have sex with the man. You want to minister to him? The boy needs to get laid. That's how you can help him. He doesn't need somebody organizing for him. He can get anybody to organize for him. He doesn't need someone to direct the choirs. He can get anybody to direct the choir. He doesn't need someone who can do this ministry, run the ladies' bazaar, whatever. He can get all kinds of people to do it. You can do the one thing nobody else can do for him. You want and this is just for pastors' wives, any of you girls out there. How can I help my husband succeed as a Christian man? You want to know what you can do? Number one, numero uno, right at the top, have sex with the man. Because when you do that, it quiets this screaming at him. So, well, he shouldn't have that screaming. Really? Apparently, they all do. So for heaven's sakes, pay attention to each other. He's an angry elf. Doesn't take me long.
Again.
It just, if I talk long, I start quiet.
And if you go long enough, you get there.
And he starts yelling and screaming at people. Because people are so dumb. What do you think's going to happen? What do you think's going to happen? And I'd love to talk to these women, some of these men too. You hardly ever have sex with your spouse.
Some of them, I think, hope that that's what's going to happen.
Because it justifies them dumping them and find somebody else.
It's the justification for them, and they can be the victim. And yeah, I know.
There's words for people like that, and I can't repeat any of them. Anyway, enough of this. Let's take a break. Come back with your emails right after this.
Attend Mark's Laugh Your Way to a Better Marriage event. Visit laughyourway.com for upcoming dates and locations.
Oh, Mark Gungor back. You're on. Oh, yeah. Here to talk about Transition 1, a transition program for young men and women, Christian young men and women, coming out of high school, taking a 1 year off to put God first in their lives before they start in college and career and everything else. I understand, and especially those who are into sports, that's not much of an option for them. I'd even challenge that. I just slow down, man. Everybody's so hurried to rush their kids off into college to make money. And then they're shocked when they're in their 30s and 40s and their lives are falling apart and ending in divorce and their kids come home pregnant and everything else. Oh, what did we do wrong? Really? How about you slow down a little bit? You put them through college, or high school. You say, well, they're good Christian kids. Yeah, but all they've done is live off of your faith. They're, what's that word when you're drafting, when you're behind another car? They're, you get behind another, race car drivers do this. They'll get behind another car because they draft, because the other car's taking the resistance of the wind, and they ride along until they get their chance to break out. Your kids, by and large, good Christian kids, have been drafting off of your life. You and Dad are the devout Christians. You bring them to church and stuff. Now you're just going to throw them out on their own without a chance for them to really develop their own faith. I don't think it's a good idea. Take a 1 year program like Transition 1, here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and we teach them how to really focus on life, how to make decisions, how to plan financially, how to balance a checkbook. It's amazing how many of your kids don't even know anything about balancing much of anything. How to make decisions about life and marriage and love and dating and all these things. We spend time, it's not a Bible college, we spend time for several months in the first part of the program just teaching them the basics about life and giving them opportunities to serve. They need to learn to serve. The last 3 months of the program is we send them to, they pick a place. We've got missionaries around the world that take them in. They're safe places where they get to go in and serve. And it's not just a 1 week vacation-like missions trip. This is real missions work where they go and they live with these people for 3 months. And they learn not everywhere in the world has Wi-Fi. They learn not every place in the world has high-definition TVs. They learn not every place has McDonald's. It teaches them to do life. They will be forever changed. Take 1 year. Put God first in their lives. Go check it out, transition1.org.
Doctor, can I have a talk with you? I need a great physician, got a soul condition.
We're back on the Mark Gungor Show, talking about love, marriage, and relationships, answering your emails. Listen to the music of Jimmy Bratcher. What do you got?
Wife writing. She says, my husband and I have been married.
What?
Wife writing.
Oh, wow.
A wife writing. Wife writing.
Wife frying.
Wife writing.
Wife frying.
A wife.
Here's how you fry a wife.
Writing.
Together, just medium rare. Okay,
I know how to fry a wife, yeah.
The wife is writing.
Yes.
Okay.
My husband and I have been married for just over 5 years, together for 6 years. Generally, things are pretty good in our marriage, but he was sexually abused as a child, and although he's not saying no to making love to me, it's as if he wants to get it over within 2 minutes. I, on the other hand, like taking my time. I don't like to feel rushed. I have a sneaking suspicion that his lack of interest, specifically in foreplay, may have something to do with his childhood sexual abuse. Is there anything I can do to encourage him to slow down and get more involved in foreplay?
Does she ask him to do that? Here's the thing. I don't know what she has or hasn't said. And she's right. I'm sure his history always plays in it. That's why you want to know this history before you get married. But here's typically what an emotive person, I'm not going to say woman, because not all women are this way, and not all men are the other way. There are those of us who are emotive, much more emotional than others. Here's what the emotional, more emotive person does. They really want A, and they will write and talk with others about how to get A from Mr. B. But they never tell Mr. B.
This is what they want.
This is what they want. She would rather have me tell her how she can get him to do what she wants without really talking to him. That's my guess. I don't know. You need to go talk to him. Sit down and explain it to him. And the reason people don't do this is because they're uncomfortable and they're embarrassed and they don't want to hurt the other person's feeling. I know, I get it, but at some point you got to have the conversations. You know, don't ask me how you can get him to do something. You need to sit and tell him this is what I need and why you need it and how to get there. Now, if he refuses, now you got a problem. Then you need counseling. I can't give you an instant answer on that. My guess is she hasn't really had this conversation with him. Or we talked about it once 8 years ago. You know what I'm saying? You need to talk about it. Keep bringing it up. You fight for what you want. Ask for what you want. Again, if he refuses to give you what you want, now you have a problem. Now you go to counseling. All right.
Next. She says, my husband is a veteran with severe PTSD who insists on keeping his job in spite of doctors advising against it. He is a police officer.
Okay.
His career choice triggers him constantly. When triggered, he tries very hard to push his children and myself away. If he stops his medication and counseling while triggered, he will do everything he can to try and make me leave, including infidelity. While I realize that this is absolutely unacceptable, I forgive him because he is not truly in his right mind at that point. It is exhausting, and I am left with trust issues. He gets back on his medication, goes back to counseling, becomes the man I married once more, and believes that everything should be fine between us, and doesn't understand why I don't respond accordingly. I want our marriage to work. I love him strongly, or else I wouldn't have sacrificed so much to stay with him in the worst of times. How do I make this work when mental health issues are involved?
Oh, man, I don't know. I'm not an expert in any of this nonsense. I don't know about mental illness, though some would argue I have it. But I do not know. I don't get it. I do know soldiers who have fought for their country and been wounded, blown to bits within an inch of their lives, and they wouldn't tolerate this guy, you know. They understand the traumas and stuff like that. And I wish he was here so you could hear one of them talk. But I mean, his thing is that, you don't use that as an excuse. Mm-hmm. That's not an excuse for him to go have sex with other women. Mm-hmm. And, well, it was my PTSD. Really? Maybe. I don't know. I'm no expert on this. I don't know. I think it's odd. There's consequences to life. And if he refuses, if it's strictly just because of the job, then you force him to change the job. Look, this is what arguing's about. This is what you debate. You leave. And he said, I want you back. I'll come back if you get a different job.
Mm-hmm. Because if the job is really what's setting him off,
well, then she sets
then maybe get a different job is a good idea.
My guess is he wants her as his wife.
My guess is.
Because if he didn't, he does. See, that's what women don't understand. A guy can leave anytime. A woman can. Anybody can leave anytime they want. There's no so big magic deal. If he's still with you, he wants you to be his wife. He comes home, you're not there, or you tell him, say, listen, I'm leaving for a while, and if you're not going to get a different job. Well, I love this job. It's the only job I want. Well, then we can't be together. We're going to be separated for a while. And at some point, he has to make a decision. Does he want to be with you, or does he want that job that's making him miserable? So you're going to have to force it. You're talking some uncomfortable situations. So, well, he's sick. Well, even if he's sick, man, I've got family members that are sick mentally. You still have to confront them, or they won't ever take their meds, and they go crazy. At some point, you have to actually call the cops on them sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they get really mad. I'll tell you, boy, do they get mad when you do that. But look, you can either listen to what I'm saying or just keep doing nothing and watch nothing change. Mm-hmm. People, you can't get a different result, just because you want it. You have to change. There's a thing called confrontation. Well, how about if I pray? Well, you can pray, but at some point you still have to have a confrontation, And I won't get into that because I'll become an angry elf. All right.
You will.
I'll tell you what, let's take a break.
Okay.
And we'll be back. See what else can irritate me. I'm doing good so far. We'll be back right after this.
Have a marriage dilemma? Email your questions to ask@markgungor.com, and Mark can answer them during one of our shows.
We're back. Mark Gungor, Diane Riley, Phil Gungor, answering your emails. What do you got?
She says, my husband and I got married less than a year ago. I'm 23, he's 25. The problem is he wants sex every day, sometimes more than once. And if I say no, he uses your show and says I'm being selfish.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
What delusional world does he live in?
Is she writing to say, fine, you have sex with them?
Uh-huh.
I ain't going to have sex with him, man. I'll tell you that right now.
She says, I'm not holding back on purpose. I would love to be able to have sex with him all the time, but I'm unable to because I was sexually abused and sometimes sex is extremely painful for her. She said, please tell me what I should do.
Wait a minute. These are not, how are these even connected? He wants to have sex every day, twice a day. That has nothing to do with you being sexually abused. How does she put that together?
If you just would listen.
Well, they don't, people, they connect stuff. It makes me crazy.
She's saying she would like to be able to oblige him, but
twice a day!
Because of the pain and that, she wants to know, what should I do? Should I put up with the pain so my husband doesn't feel bad? I'm not sure what to do. We're both committed Christians and serving our kids' ministry. I asked her, how often are you having sex with him? She said 3 to 5 times a week now. She's
how old are they?
23 and 25.
Yeah. Well, is it painful every time she's having sex? Is it miserable for her every time she's doing it? Or does it only become painful if it's twice a day?
I would think that if she has some issues, it's when the frequency may have something to do with it.
Okay, you say your husband listens to the show, right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm. So she said.
Okay, Bobby. Bobby, I love you, man. Here's what you do, Bobby. You get down on your knees to pray in front of the toilet. And you stick your head in the toilet. Flush your toilet. There we go. I hit the wrong one. Give yourself a swirly. Listen to me, Bobby. Some of you guys, these guys get married and they think because I'm married, I get to have sex all the time now. I had to control myself before, but now I don't have to control myself anymore.
Get what I want when I want it now.
That's someone who thinks, I'm going to let's say people approach food the same way. I'm gonna watch what I eat. In fact, there's people actually like this.
I do this.
They watch what they eat. And then they get married. And now she eats 8 pounds of cake a day. Mm-hmm. All right, and she turns into an 850-pound gargantuan. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that person? Why are you doing that? Well, I'm married now. It doesn't really matter. Really? Mm-hmm. You still have to control yourself. You guys, just because you get married and now you get to have sex doesn't mean you get to have it every day or twice. Now, if you both want it 3 times a day, may God bless you. Mm-hmm. May you be fruitful and multiply.
Be a rabbit.
May you have a great effect on all those around you. It would be fabulous. But Bobby, are you listening to me, Bobby? Bobby, pay attention. You're 23, 25, whatever. He said, but I want to have sex every day. Yeah, most men, if they got a vote, I'm just saying, generally speaking, the majority of them would vote yes every day. Most men don't have sex every day. You know why, Bobby? Because their wives can't handle having sex every day, and certainly not 2 or 3 times a day. Control yourself, for the love of God. You'll be fine. You're not going to die. Now, if she's giving you sex 3 to 5 times a week, consider yourself a blessed man of God. That should be fine. Listen, what do we start with? Men battle sexual temptation even in marriage. Okay, now he's going to think that meant... Mark Gungor says you have sex with me 3 times a day. That's not what I said.
Because you've talked at great length about the best thing that women can do to have sex with them.
But
so he will take your words.
Oh, I know.
He will take your words from the whole first 24 minutes of this show.
That's what makes me crazy.
Yeah.
The extremes. People only hear what they want to hear. Goodness gracious. Look, just because now, if your wife's not giving you sex much at all, if you're getting sex once a week and you need it every day, you're going to have problems. He's going to struggle
3 to
greatly
5 times.
with temptation.
Shut up.
Yeah, seriously, you're just fine. Goodness gracious. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
Are you sure?
I want what I want when I want it. I mean, because we're going to have sex there's guys who get married, they actually think that.
Oh, I know.
And they are stunned when she can't have sex 2-3 times a day.
Don't they have jobs? Do you go to work?
Well, they get up and they have sex when they wake up, and they have sex when they go to sleep. Every time they climb in or out of bed, they have sex. There's people who do this.
Yeah.
And they're happy doing it. And
Yeah.
I say, may God bless you.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing. And sometimes you can pull that off.
Yeah.
Well, God bless you. But when it's damaging your marriage, and again, I don't know that I'm being honest with you, darling. I don't know. I don't know you. I don't know. Don't make the connection. I don't know this has anything to do with you being sexually
No.
abused.
She was saying that she wants to be able to oblige him, but she just physically can't.
But that might not have anything to do with her being sexually abused. That's the connection. There's women who just can't. They can't do this every day.
No, she
it
was.
hurts.
I did not read the graphic details. She was pretty graphic in the details of what was tied to the sexual abuse and why she can't. I spared you that.
Okay, so you think it was tied?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
We'll cut the girl some slack.
Yeah.
All right. I think you'll be fine. Still, guys, listen to me. Even if your wife is giving you regular sex, you still have to control yourself. That's the crazy thing about it. That's what women don't understand. That's why you want to have regular sex with your husband. Because even if you're doing regular sex, he will still be sexually tempted.
You could have sex with him twice a day, every day, from here till eternity, and he'll still be sexually tempted.
Well, I don't know about twice, 3 times. He wouldn't have time to get sexually tempted. I don't know. This is okay. We got something else to talk about.
Well, we're too close against the bottom now to start something else. You've talked yourself into a hole, into the corner. Now you're going to fight your way out of
It's
that?
just not everybody. Here's the thing. If every marriage has someone who's way more interested in sex than the other person, not way. Sometimes it's way. Others
There's
it's
usually
a little
a
bit. There's
disparity.
always a disparity. What do? The person who wants to have sex more has to control themselves to get it less. Mm-hmm. The person who wants it less has to give and work harder to give it more. This is how you get to here. Okay? Now, if it's way here, that's harder because you'll probably only be able to get to maybe here. What does that mean? That means you're going to be a little frustrated and you'll have to struggle and fine. But you can't just run off and start having sex with 20 other men or women or whatever your deal is. You have to be able to control yourself. All right? What drives me crazy are people who don't pay attention to it at all. And they just think, usually a person who's less interested in sex thinks, I don't care. And they put their spouse in a very bad place. You have to always understand, you put them in a bad, whether it's the wife or the husband, you're putting them in a really bad place because I promise you, someone's going to come along and say, I want to touch you. I want to hold you. I want to be there for you. And then they will fall, your marriage will break up, and you will lose everything. It's not worth it.
Caution, The Mark Gungor Show contains adult content intended for an adult audience.
Oh, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. That's why people write me, because they don't know what to do. And I usually don't know what to tell them to do. But yet there's this wonderful symbiotic relationship with our audience. All right, what do you got there?
Okay, flag page.
Flag page segment. This is the flag page. Go to flagpage.com. It's a simple test you can take that'll help you get a picture of why you do what you do, what makes you tick. It's great for helping couples to better understand each other, great for parents to understand their kids, great for employees and employers to work together, teams to work together, even special forces units in the military. Use the flag page, that very flag page with my beautiful face on it, done by some of our greatest soldiers. Some of the greatest soldiers in the world are actually using this program to help them work together better as a team. Go to flagpage.com. Take your test today.
Okay, it's wanting to understand herself question again.
Okay.
Like we did in the last
it's not
show.
with couples.
No, not with couples. This is just about her. She wants to know, according to her flag page, whether or not fun country people could be good leaders and what qualities would make them good or bad leaders. So based, I guess, upon her flag page, you're a fun country person.
Does she want to be a leader?
I would assume yes. I'm assuming yes, that she wants to be a good leader.
That opens up for all kinds of questions I want to ask her. Does she want to be, or is she just concerned that she's not a leader? Or
I think that she wants to be, but will she make a good one? Is I think the question. And what
Okay,
qualities does she have that would make her a good one? Or
what this test does is it breaks people. It does what a lot of tests do. Many tests take people and break them into 4 different categories. This is based on 2,000-year-old science from Hippocrates. Is he the one? Mm-hmm. He was the first one who noticed you can pretty much break everybody in the world into 4 groups. A lot of the groups even still use some of the Greek terminology of phlegmatic and choleric and sanguine and whatever the other one was. Doesn't matter. Ours, we put it in English so people can understand what the heck they're talking about. Others use colors. Others use animals, chickens, frogs, lizards. There's unending versions of this. So in this respect, our program is not really all that unique. What makes our program unique is that unlike other programs where they pretty much just say you're in this category, our program actually measures how intensely you feel in all of them, and we break it down into numerical values. When you take your flag page, it'll tell you how much of each of these countries is in you, because nobody's just one thing. You can't take everybody in the world and put them in a 4. Just the fact in ours that even at 16, it's still not even an accurate answer, because you can't even take the whole world, put them into 16. But once you start putting into the degrees of how much of every little thing, now you're getting a more accurate picture of really who you are. This is what our program does. Also shows you other things that most programs don't do. So anyway, the 4 categories that we start with are control, people who like just get things done and they like to boss people around.
get her done.
They actually like doing it.
They do.
People, if you accuse your spouse of being a control freak and they get angry at you, chances are they're not from control. They're usually perfect people, and people misunderstand them. Control people like controlling you. In fact, if you tell a control person that he's a control freak, that's not an insult to them.
They like it.
It's actually a compliment to them. Something that most people would consider an insult. You're just a control freak, right? Is that
right.
not a standard
use
insult?
That as an insult.
You're a control freak.
Yes.
You're a control. To true control people, when you say they're a control freak, they go, "That's right.
Yep.
Praise God, get her done." They like being this way. That's a true control person. Then you have fun people who can't be serious about much of anything. They laugh at everything. They laugh at the most inappropriate things at the most inappropriate times. Their response, even in the midst of terrifying situations, they giggle. And they laugh. I guess
they wisecrack.
Guess who your host is? I remember we were in Africa, okay, and we're doing a night safari, and it's Deb and I and Lathan and Lynn Duncan, one of our pastor couples with us. We are, it's black pitch. It's like there's lights out there in the middle of the jungle or wherever the heck we're at. It's pitch black and a cloud cover, so there's no moon, no stars. It's black, 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 black. Well, the guide gets us stuck. He's off. I don't know what the heck he does. Anyway, we get caught between a herd of elephants. And the males are mad. And the guide is freaking out. When your guide is freaking out, this is a bad sign.
You need to be scared.
It's like when you're flying an airplane and you look at the pilot and he's scared to death.
Be very afraid.
That's when you get nervous. As long as he's cool, you're cool. You look at him and he's sweating bullets and he's pulling out manuals trying to figure out what to do next and calling for help on the radio. That's a bad sign. So this guy, and literally on the phone on the radio calling for help. Now he's speaking in Afrikaans. Most of the white people there speak two languages, English and Afrikaans. So Lynn and Nathan are both from South Africa, so they speak Afrikaans. Well, so the guy starts speaking in Afrikaans on the radio because he's freaking out. Well, we don't know it, but she can hear it. And she's freaking out because he's freaking out. And you hear these, you can't see it. You just hear there's a certain sense of movement when a gigantic elephant goes walking by you. And we're like, I am giggling hysterically. I am shaking, just like, oh my gosh, we're all gonna die. I thought it was hilarious. I don't know why. There's something about fun people. Everything to us is funny, which gets very tiresome to those who must live around our world. All right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Then you got perfect people. These people are, very strict about our guide. This guide
was perfect.
Was a perfect-natured Nimrod. All right? So he's a purist, a perfect purist of what do you call it? Nature psycho people. What do you call them? I don't know.
Ecologist, the tree hugger.
Tree hugger, ecologist. He's training about. He's into it, and he's a perfectionist about it. So we can get out of the situation we're in if he'll take the Jeep and cut across this section of grass onto another part of a road, and we can get out of there. Well, they're always told, don't drive on the grass because you can disrupt the ecological balance of life. Apparently, because you squish a beetle. I don't know.
Sure.
Now, I get it that if everybody did it, it would destroy. Okay? But when you're surrounded by angry elephants, these are angry elves. They're very big. And, oh my goodness, they know we're there. They like us being there. There's probably babies in the area. That's what ticks them off. And you're afraid of crossing the grass because you might kill a bug. You idiot! Kill the bug! Good grief, I just wanted to grab a couple of cans of Raid and run through the jungle spraying and killing everything I could possibly find. Finally, this imbecile takes off and he cuts across the grass because, I don't know, it's either the bug or us, which I found, for some sick reason, highly entertaining. We get back. A half hour later, this guy comes to us, and it's like he was a devout man of God who just committed adultery.
He was just so grieved.
He is grieved. And he comes to apologize to us because he got off the trail and ran over some bugs. I'm looking at this guy like, you're
crazy.
A moron. I don't say that to him. I'm still giggling. But I'm thinking, you're a moron. Now, not all perfectionists are that extreme. No, I've just insulted everybody.
That was quite an extreme version.
These are people who everything has to be done a certain way. Some of them, the majority of them are just fine people. And they're great people. But some of them are psycho-crazy people. And then the fourth category are peace people. These people just want to get along with everybody. And by all means, anyway, even sometimes by force, they will push for peace, which was from last week's show. Okay, pretty funny. So, this lady's question is, if I'm a fun person, can I be a leader? Of course you can. Anybody can be a leader. And look, by the way, the one thing about the flag page, man, my shirt is like I just crawled out of bed. I was trying to
straighten it out there.
Just like I just rotted.
Are you ready now?
I don't know. I'm not tailored right. Anyway, so What was I talking about?
Perfectionist, peace, trying to get peace.
I was going to people say, well, can I do such and such if they see their flag page? The flag page is not what you can do. It has nothing to do with what you can do. It has to do with what you love to do, what your motivation is. You can do anything. Even I, on the flag page, have a very low perfect score because you can as well imagine perfection is not one of my biggest things. Mm-hmm. However, I can be very much a perfectionist. And when I'm playing music or playing the piano, the organ, or producing music, I used to produce music for years for radio and television. I was very much in perfect mode. Anybody can do anything. Don't take any of these tests and think, that says I can't do it. No, just all our test shows you what do you love to do. Because when you get to do what you love to do, you will most likely succeed. By the way, the combinations that they say make the best leaders, these are generalities, but they are control, fun, or fun control people. Those are your two highest scores. So can fun people make great leaders? Not only can they, generally speaking, they do. Fun people who also have a good dose of control in them tend to make really good leaders. In your case, she's got, you want to pop up her flag up there? There. Mm-hmm. So you can see that she's got fun, 146, that's very big, 98 peace. The other two are very low. Look at control, 29, perfect 6. So she's overwhelmingly a fun, peace person. You know what we call these people? You'll see this when you take the test. These are the world's best, these are the world's most lovable people. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves these people. Everybody gets along with them. Why? Because they like to have fun, but they always get along with people. Look at her flag. Fun, good on stage. Look at her hard and soft. Really soft, doesn't like to get confrontational with people. So she's a warm and fuzzy person. So by nature, my dear girl, this is how you are wired. You can come back to my beautiful face now. All right. So, but always remember, this is not a determination of what you can or cannot do. You know, there's very fun accountants. That's pretty rare because usually a fun person would never want to be an accountant because it would drive them insane. But they're really good with that, and that's what because it doesn't say what you can do. It just says what you love to do. When you can line up what you love to do with what you can do, then it's even more strong. So anyway, just for that clarifying, this printout, Natalie, use your first name, not your last name. This printout will show you who you are, why you do what you do, what motivates you, the kind of environment you're most likely to succeed in. But it does not, all you people who take this test, it does not show you what you can or does not insist that you have to do this. It has nothing to do with what you do. This just has to do with your motivations. You are a fun person who loves to get along with people and makes you a lovable person. And I know a lot of people like this who have very strong leadership positions. And it's absolutely fine. I think I've finally cleared that up, okay? We'll take a break now and come back with what do we got next?
Dating.
Dating. We love dating questions. We'll be back with that right after this.
Download your free Mark Gungor app today to see all of the latest from the world of Mark Gungor.
Back on the Mark Gungor Show, taking your emails about love, marriage, and relationships, specifically dating.
Dating. Now. Okay, now there's several questions to this at the end, so I'll give you the information, then we'll get to all of the questions.
Get that long until he starts answering them.
She says, my boyfriend and I have been an item for 6 years now.
Oh, good.
I'm going to stop and let you go.
No.
Okay. We began dating at 18, so I guess that puts him about 24 years old now. He graduated in the spring of last year and is still looking for a job. He's still living at home with his parents. I live in an apartment alone. In the beginning of our relationship, we were sexually active, and in recent months, we have agreed that it was wrong and have since stopped. But
in recent months? So they've been having sex for 5 years?
That's kind of what it sounds like.
Okay.
But we both still struggle with guilt, she says.
Okay.
We have begun our premarital counseling and hope to tie the knot this coming summer.
Okay.
We so desperately want to do marriage the right way, God's way. And so a few questions arise. First, should we move in together?
No.
Even if we have separate sleeping arrangements until we are wed?
No. You've been doing this for 5 years. You've been sleeping with mom. No, sleeping with mom, dear Jesus. Sleeping at mom's house. Well, just keep doing it. There's no reason to move in now. What kind of thinking is this?
It was just your question.
Oh, good grief. They got it all worked out. She's at her apartment. He's living with mom. Now, all of a sudden, we have to live together? Oh, anyway, okay.
Okay. Next question. Also, can we take any extra steps before we are married to better prepare us for this journey?
I don't know. Just just getting married. 6 years, having sex, the bulk of the time for 6 years, and now she's wondering, what can we do? You've been playing like you've been married for 6 years. All right, next question.
She says, I know the Bible teaches a lot on a man's role in marriage, but I'm struggling with what my role is exactly. How can I be of help
Here's your role.
to him?
Quit screwing your boyfriend. There's a role. And these people get mad because I advocate for young marriage. The reason I advocate for young marriage is when you don't, this is what you get. It's not like, oh, let's not get married. Let's wait till we're through college. And then everybody says sexually pure. No. What they don't say is we're going to wait because then they got other reasons for waiting. But what they're not telling you is that they're having sex the whole time. Creating what, in her case, is tons of guilt now. Well, for heaven's sake, why don't you just marry the guy when you're 21, 18, 19? Well, what would have made any difference? Instead of him staying at mom's house, he'd have been staying with her. What would have changed? Nothing changes. This idea that marriage is an impediment to doing life is absurd. We can't go to college if we're married. Says who? Well, we can't have a career if I'm married. Says who? You guys have been acting like you've been married all this time. And that's the thing that irritates. They're all having sex anyway.
Well, and she has an apartment, so it's like she can afford to live in an apartment. So why can't he afford to be there and they be married?
Apparently, if he moves in, the rent triples.
I don't know.
It's just stupid. It just makes. I'm not mad at her. I just,
just the whole thinking of it.
Just give her a swirly. Anyway, and I'll tell you why it's mad. I don't have a problem with you. At least you're making it right. Here's what makes me mad. All the Christians today who are doing this very same thing, sinning against God, creating guilt, then they'll quit, and then they break up, and then they start having sex with somebody else, and then that break up, and they don't want to get married. Oh, they don't want to get married too young, and they have sex with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different people. By the time they get married, now they're struggling in their marriage life because they've got history now with being in bed with 6 different people, and the negative results of that, and it becomes a disaster for them. There's no reason for it. Just you want to have sex, get married. Here's the thing. They don't want to get married, but they want to do everything else. Anyway, you're getting married now? Good. Get married.
Okay. So
what should I prefer? Just get married, okay? Quit overthinking it. What do you think magically happens when you get married? All of a sudden, everything changes? You just keep doing life.
If you've been with them 6 years, there's some differences. When you live in the same house every day, and you'll have to just work out the rules and who does what, and how you back down, and what he wins on.
My guess is you're fairly acquainted with each other at this point, having spent countless hours naked as a jaybird with each other. All right, final break, final segment coming up right after this.
Want more of Mark? Visit markgungor.com. There you will find everything that Mark has to offer.
Do I dare let myself sit a while and ponder?
You may ponder all you like, my friend.
Do I dare?
Music of Michael O'Brien, wondering if he should dare to ponder. I would encourage you to ponder. All right, what do you got?
She says, I'm a college student from the Philippines, and I just have a question about courtship. We as ladies have always been taught in church that guys are supposed to pursue us and not the other way around.
Here we go.
I firmly believe in this and would like to be able to share this with other girls using biblical principles. However, I don't quite know how to go about it. How could I use biblical characters and situations in explaining the rules about courtship?
All right, first of all, you're wrong, okay? You're wrong, and all the people who said that to you are wrong, and the untold numbers of people in Christian groups and ladies who are teaching young Christian girls who teach them this are all wrong. The whole lot of them are wrong. If you can't start with that premise, you can't even comprehend what I'm about to say. It is absurd. 93%, whatever the number was 93% of all relationships were started by the woman. Now, a smart woman, she starts it, but then she plays keep away and gets him to pursue. The girl gets him to pursue. What they're teaching is the girl shouldn't do anything and wait for him to pursue. That's why girls like you are single, and you're going to be single in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s and your 60s and your 70s and your 80s, your 90s, and probably by then you're dead. And they're going to wonder, why didn't God bring me a husband? Because your premise, what you're being taught, is baloney. There's a better word for it. But being a man of God, I will not use that word, though it flashed through my mind briefly. It's just nonsense. You want a biblical standard? You're a Bible girl. You like Jesus. You want to do the right thing. You think you're so spiritual? Read the Bible. Go read the story of Ruth. Ruth and Boaz. Tell me there, who pursued whom? I love these girls. They're so... And it's not them. They've been taught this nonsense.
That's what she said. It's
they've
what
been
they've
taught
been taught.
this nonsense. They'll actually say, Pastor, I don't want to pursue anybody. I want a divine, God-appointed thing like Ruth and Boaz. Have you read Ruth and Boaz? It's like Christians. I'm stunned at the number of Christians who quote the Bible to prove something stupid that it doesn't even say that they're quoting. It's like people who used to say women should never work outside the home. Mm-hmm. Who said that? Well, the Bible says it's supposed to be a Proverbs 31 woman. Have you ever read Proverbs 31? I've had them sit in my office. Have you ever read it? And they look at me.
No, because they just heard somebody tell them.
Because they heard
that's
somebody
what
on some radio show talk about it. Yep. Some pastor on TV, you're not supposed to be working because the Bible says it's supposed to be a godly woman. So I had to sit down with this lady and said, let's read it together. Proverbs 31, the lady's got a job. She's got servant girls. She's the one selling real estate. She's making products and selling them in the marketplace. Her husband's sitting on his butt at the city gate. Now, how do you read that and come up with the conclusion women should not work? Of all the ignorant, dumb, stupid things. Now, we have the same problem now with people who... He's an angry elf again. See, it's just, I'm out of control the last few shows. You have people who say women should not, they should just not, they teach it. Don't make eye contact. Mm-hmm. Man, you're never going to get married. Girl, you listen to this, you're never going to get married. You got to send a hook out there. One of the best ways is just to laugh at something stupid a guy says. Even if he's a moron. All of a sudden, you get his attention, and then you play keep away. But you keep making sure, you keep chasing. You make sure he chases you. You don't sit there and passively do nothing. Look, read Ruth and Boaz. The whole thing was rigged by the women. Naomi and Ruth set the whole thing up. They tried it this way. They tried it that way. Finally, Naomi says, look, he's going to this party. When he lays down and take a nap, you lay at his feet. And then she says, the Bible says that she got her all prettied up and smelling sweet. And I mean, she was decked out, ready to kill.
Don't squirt too much perfume,
Don't put on too much perfume, though. We don't want that. You can smell it from 5 blocks away. And then, finally, Boaz notices her.
Because he's a little slow.
Okay, so how, in the name of heaven, does a Christian read the book of Ruth and from that conclusion say a woman should let a man pursue? A woman should not look. She should have to just wait. Don't do anything. No wonder we have so many single Christian girls today. But I tell you, at some point, the church is going to start permitting, what's the word?
Polygamy.
Just to get these girls all married. Because we're idiots. Anyway, that's my answer to you, my dear. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Bye, bye, bye.
Have fun storming the castle.